Hey, what's up, friends? If you've ever said to yourself or thought to yourself, man, I really need to work more on my business and less in my business because I have this big vision of what I want to create, but I feel stuck. I feel stuck with what I built. I feel like I have a ceiling and I need to figure out a way to break through that ceiling and create a whole new level in my business and in my life so that I am building the business I wanted when I first started out. Well, you're in luck because I've got an amazing guest on today who has built such a company in just a few short years. Sam Kaufman has built a company based around his mission and his core values, and he's now in the position where he's got people that are looking to join his company because they see what an awesome thing he has going on. They are growing, they're adding people constantly, they're elevating their brand, and Sam's at a point where he's focused on leadership, he's focused on strategy, he's focused on high-level relationship building, and those are the things that I know a lot of us aspire to. So sit back, relax, don't relax actually, sit back, get something to take notes with because you're gonna wanna take some notes based on what Sam is talking about, maybe pause this here and there, and I encourage you, I challenge you to implement at least one of the things that Sam talks about today, okay? It might be your core values. It might be looking at how you are spending your time in your business so that you can offload some of those things and focus on higher level activities, delegate and elevate. It may be some of the other things that Sam recommends, but I challenge you to take some notes and implement one thing, okay? That's going to transform your business. Not overnight, but if you commit to something that you really want and you do the necessary work, you will get to the level that you want to get to. So without further ado, here is my interview with Sam Kaufman. What's going on, Sam? I am super pumped to have you here. I saw one of your posts in the Champion Circle coaching group that we're both a part of, Mike Claudio's coaching group. And you talked about the ease at which you're like finding people to work for you with your company and finding subcontractors, and you attribute it to your core values and to your brand that you've built, you know, the social media content that you've been intentional about over the years. So I'm super excited to dive into that. How are you today, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to having a good conversation. I listened to the first 2 episodes of your brand new podcast this morning, so we'll put that on the screen right now so people can see that. Go subscribe to that. Sam is just like very natural on audio, and I'm not just saying that because he's here on the show, but like very natural. He flows. It's easy to listen to. He's very open, very relatable. So go check out the show. We'll put that down below in the show notes and everything like that, wherever you're watching or listening to this. So congrats on starting your podcast, man. That's a big step.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to clip that audio of you saying all those nice things about me, and I'm going to make that my intro on my podcast. I'm like, per Joseph Hughes, this is how incredible I am at podcasting. Now you can listen. So thank you.
Dude, so yeah. All right, I'll give you more, man. I listened to it on my run, and I was like, man, why am I running so fast? Like, I'm so fired up right now. I'm so inspired.
Good.
It was awesome stuff. So we'll put that there. Feel free to use that clip or whatever. I'll send it over to you.
Yeah.
Before we get into that fun stuff, the meat and potatoes, if you will, I want to dive into who is Sam Kaufman and where you come from. Are you from Jersey, by the way?
I am. Yeah.
Dude, I'm in Jersey. I saw in your Facebook profile Westfield, huh?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Westfield. I didn't move to South Carolina till I was like 22. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm a Jersey guy.
All right, nice. I'm down the shore in Monmouth County. I've got one of my best friends lives up in Westfield, so we go up there, a couple times a year. Nice little town.
It's a gorgeous little town. Yeah. Yeah, I moved out of there because I had, basically ruined my life completely coming out of high school. You wanted to know who I was, right? That was your question.
Let's go, man.
Sure. So I, to be real transparent, so I graduated high school totally addicted to drugs and alcohol. And I barely graduated high school, totally addicted to drugs and alcohol. And my family, right after that, ended up moving to Charleston. So my stepdad got a job offer at a college here. They moved, and I was like, cool. So I stayed behind I was like, this is perfect. They're gone. I'm going to get my life together. I did not get my life together. So they left, and I was left to my own devices to make bad decisions. And that's exactly what I did. And after some time of doing that, man, my guardian angel, AKA my mother, came down or came up, and basically, long story short, man, she convinced the judicial system of New Jersey to allow me to leave. And the contingency was that I never move back. And so, I basically got kicked out of the state of New Jersey, and I ended up down here, and, really by the grace of God, man, I ended up working a bunch of jobs. I got clean and sober. I got my life together, and I ended up working a bunch of jobs. And one of those jobs was I was changing oil, and I got an opportunity to be a cabinet installer's helper. And I took that job. Man, that's kind of where it all started. I was a guy in recovery, owned that company, and he offered me a position being a helper, and I was awful at it. But I stuck with it, and, I learned, and basically what ended up really happening was at some point as I was working there, that guy sat down everybody at the company and said, starting Monday morning, you guys are getting paid piece rate. You're no longer hourly. You're getting paid by the job. And at some point by Tuesday afternoon, I started doing math and going, well, hold on a minute. If I get X amount of jobs done and I get it done by X in X amount of time, I'm going to make Y amount of money. And my brain went, that's a lot of money. Maybe I should get good at this. And I'd always been entrepreneurial, right? As a kid, I shoveled snow, I walked dogs, I babysat. I mean, I worked one real job, and everything else I did was knocking on a door and saying, hey, do you need this particular service I'm offering? From 12 years old. Yeah, 12 years old up all the way, even through my addiction. Now, granted, my addiction entrepreneurship was far from legitimate, but it still was entrepreneurship in its truest form. So I did that, and that's why I learned how to install cabinets. And installing cabinets is what was the birth of what is now a full-blown kitchen and bath renovation company, a flooring retail store, a podcast.
Wow. Congrats on that, man. That's awesome, taking a leap. So we can go into that origin story and all that, but I'd rather really focus on today and where you're at as far as the intention that in which you built your brand, your culture, and your core values. So, Sam, can you give us a snapshot as to what the company looks like today and what that's all about?
Sure. Yeah. So the company today, we are prime contractors for full-blown interior kitchen renovation, bath renovation, flooring remodels. We've got multiple project managers. We've got like a dozen in-house employees, and we've got probably 25 subcontractor installers, and we service the entire Tri-County area here in Charleston. Wow.
That's quite the business. And it's what, 5-6 years old, something like that?
6. Yeah. Well, this is our 6th year. Yeah, we started in 2016.
Okay. All right. So 12 full-time team members, 25 subs. Of course, other partners and things like that. I'm sure, as far as not partners in the business, but different contractors and types that you work with.
Yep.
That's some fast growth. What would you attribute to that? Because I'm thinking about the audience right now, and they're like, all right, I'm just starting out, or I've been at this 5 or 6 years. I'm not where, that's where I want to be, but for some reason I'm not there yet. Or, I'm 15 years in and I'm still freaking doing everything and wearing every hat in the business. Like, what are some of the, what are some of the key ingredients to where you've gotten to where you are now?
Sure. In the beginning, I think the speed at which we grew was directly related to the fact that every dollar went right back into the company. So for the first 2 years we were in business, I paid myself $500 a week. My wife and I struggled. We had 2 kids. We lived in a shitty apartment. We drove a broken down car. It was every bit of profit was reinvested into how to make the business better. Once you get used to that, you kind of live like that. I will say probably, quite literally, the most important thing I think that we've done, my team is the reason that we're where we're at today. I would love to say it was me and all this, and I just told you I barely graduated high school. My specialty is probably reading people and being able to put the best people in the room together. And the reality of the situation is my team built this with me. We put people over profits from day one. Our core values set up, our discipline with our core values, living and dying by those, and making sure that cancerous and toxic people are removed from the environment, and the people who are deserving are moved up. And what I mean by deserving has nothing to do with production output and everything to do with who they are. You can train anybody to do almost any trade. You just can't train core value. You can't train character. And when we really started to prioritize character, I mean, it was natural. The growth was natural because the customers see it, the customers appreciate it, your profit margins increase. When you got a team like that, you can almost do whatever you need to do to grow your business.
Where did that come from? Like, where did that focus on? Because most small, business owners, when you're starting out, you're just focused on making money and just, managing, trying not to let the business crumble through chaos and whatnot. Like, where did that come from? The core value focus and focus on character and the right people in the right seats and all that stuff.
To be really honest with you, man, I've cared about people my entire life. It wasn't really like a new thing for me. I've always loved taking care of people and sharing and being generous. And, I always I like doing fun stuff, but I like doing fun stuff more with people that I like doing fun stuff with. I like making money, but I like making money more when people near me are making money. I've always enjoyed bringing people with and caring for people. The core value thing. So that was kind of like a deep, true intrinsic thing that really mattered to me. And I'll be honest, in the beginning of my business, I found Gary Vaynerchuk and I got obsessed. I'm serious. I got obsessed with his content because he was talking about all the things that I was always insecure about who I was. I thought business was this hard ass. You have to be a jerk and you have to treat, and you got to crack a whip and do this and you got to do this. And I couldn't do that. That wasn't who I was. And so for a little while in the beginning, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I know I'm entrepreneurial. I know I'm great with money. I know I've got a few things down, but man, if being a boss means I got to act like an asshole, I don't know that I'm going to be able to do this for the rest of my life. And I found guys like Gary Vaynerchuk and then in time I found more. I found Apexers. I found champions. I found people that were that gave me permission to be a leader with integrity. And that changed my life.
That's cool. No, I was smiling because Gary's one of my big influences as well from a business, marketing, social media, branding, content perspective.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Have you read his latest book?
I have.
I guess so.
Whoop.
All right.
I bought a case of them actually and started handing them out to my employees and my family members for Christmas. So I don't know if anybody else read it, but
right on. Yeah. So he's been living those principles, those 12 and a half, ingredients to life and business success for a while. And he just kind of finally put it together in a book, which is awesome. I mean, that's kind of my vibe as well. I'm not that, dictator of a boss or owner or anything like that. And in the long run, being a good person, gets good people do win, right? We've seen that.
Yeah, they do. And I'll be honest too. So on the core value discussion and why it's been so imperative for me, the core values don't just build my team, they protect me too as the owner. And so I struggle, and just like Gary Vee's book, my biggest weak point is that confrontation conflict scenario where I want everybody to have 10 chances and I think I can fix people and I want to help people, and to a fault to where having to remove a toxic person is difficult for me, even if the effects are clearly negative, because I want to help them so much. And what became clear to me was my core values, my business's core values, protect me from myself and protect my team from my weaknesses, because the core values make the decisions. It can be hard for me. It can be upsetting. I might not want to do it, but we live and die in a disciplined manner by these values. It's not up to me anymore. It's decided, it's predetermined for us as a team. And I now don't have to feel like I have to do things that are difficult emotionally for me, because it's already decided. It's in play.
That's so interesting, Sam. I've experienced that recently more, that we've been focused on our core values this year. And it's something where and it happens every day. There's a decision that you have to make as a team. What should we do about this or a client or this process or whatever it is? And it's like, well, let's see what the core values have to say. It's like kind of consulting the oracle. Like, let's see what this wise oracle has to say. And it just becomes easy to guide your decisions by that, right? And it's like, sometimes it's more work than you maybe want to put in. Like, oh, all right, well, yeah, we have to be true to our core values and we got to do this thing. It's going to take 4 hours instead of 1 hour, but like, this is the right thing to do. And it, in the long run, it always is, right? So like, it's refreshing because you're not making those decisions on an island, right? You have like that oracle to consult with, right?
Yeah, 100%. And if your team, if everybody aligns with those values too, like you said, you're not on an island, you get input, all valued input. You know what I'm saying? As long as everybody fits that, it's all valued input. And you're right. Sometimes it is hard. Sometimes when we address issues too, we do issue processing every Monday morning in a level 10 meeting. And when we do issue processing, the question is always, what core value did we fail on that caused this? There's always, 100% of the time, a failed core value implementation that caused the issue. I've never seen it different.
I love that. That is awesome. What are your core values?
Well, they say crush it, which I know is like the most typical like Gary V related thing you could have. But the C is communicate proactively. The R is radical responsibility. The U is utilize unique abilities. So we keep people where they are strong. We don't force them into weaknesses. It doesn't mean we don't work on growing. It just means that we keep people in their unique abilities. The S is a solution-based mindset. The H is a help-first mentality. And so here at On the Level, you are required to help with the issue before you're allowed to discuss why it happened, where it went wrong, or whose fault it was. We get solution, we fix, we help first, we process later. The I is, oh my God, where's the, oh my God, now I can't remember my own core values. Hold on a minute. You got me all like on the spot. I recite this every single Monday.
It's happened to me before too, bro. I get it. You're not a fraud.
That's hilarious. So the I is idealistic in our work. So we strive for perfection without it sacrificing efficiency. And the T is thankful tenacity. And basically what that means is blissful dissatisfaction. So we are ever grateful, but we are always working on more.
That is awesome. Crush it. All right, we're gonna put those up on the screen when we edit this edit this episode for sure. All right, so those are awesome. You came up with those. Let's talk about your team. You've got this team. I'm guessing that you have pretty low team member turnover. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. How do you get your team? How do you communicate those core values to your team? How do you get them bought in? How do you get them to continually just live and breathe those core values?
The first and most important thing is I live them. And so in my decision making, my speaking, how they hear me talk to clients, how they hear me talk to drivers, everything my team watches me do is consistent, regardless of who I'm doing it with. And so like those core values are a representation of who I am. Now I make mistakes, but I own them. I address, I operated outside of my value here and that's why this happened, et cetera, et cetera. To reinforce them beyond that, every Monday we have a 9 a.m. staff meeting. It's full staff before our management level 10. And in that staff meeting, every Monday, without fail, we go around the room. Everybody says wins from the weekend, and we immediately go over our core values. Everybody reads one, and then we discuss how we applied the week prior. Every single week. Not once a quarter, not twice a year, not in an email, in a direct face-to-face meeting every single week.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I have complete and full buy-in. And you know what else it does too? Yeah, we do have a very low turnover rate. I've got a couple of people who have been with me since we had 2 vans, no office, and 4 employees 5 years ago. I've got people who really have rode for the long haul here. What happens when you do this, when you reinforce weekly or at least consistently, and people who don't fit come in and leave fast. They're not comfortable. They don't want to be here, and they leave on their own accord. You don't really have to fire anyone. Your core values do it for you.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So the core values are like this amazing team member that you don't have to pay money to, but they help you make all these decisions and whatnot. Seems like a win.
You only have to pay them when you don't use them. So
there you go. Oh, I like that. I like that. It's quotable. Now, how have your core values, how do you hire based on those? How do they help you attract the right people? Talk about that kind of, recruiting, hiring, training, onboarding process in terms of core values.
Sure. So I still do the hiring pretty directly, 90% of the time. I honestly we have a few minute conversation about like experience and skill level, and then I get gut wrenchingly honest. These are our core values. This is what we live and die by. This is the full expectation of you. If you can't do these things, don't take this job. And it's okay if you can't. It's cool if you're not and it's okay if you say, look, I'm not sure I can do these perfectly right now, but I'm super willing to learn. I'll work with that too. I use a lot of I've been doing this for a while, the core value thing consistently, where I operate a lot on instinct in the hiring process. Now, as far as retaining people, like I said, people who don't fit weed themselves out. They just stop showing up, which is great. We haven't had that happen in a while. Now, branding it, I don't talk about the core values on social. I don't post about the core values specifically. What I do post, though, is I post team profiles where we go. Our core values are very loud in our branding on social media, especially here locally. I post team profiles. I post staff meeting pictures. My team sang me happy birthday and took a video of me blushing. We post that up. On Valentine's Day, one of my project manager's girlfriends sent him Chick-fil-A as a happy Valentine's Day delivery. We posted that. It was adorable. It was awesome. We post team building and training, and this is this guy learning how to do this. And what that does is it attracts the most recent hire we have, an assistant project manager. It attracted him. He sent us a Facebook message that basically said, I've been looking for a company like yours my entire life. Can I please come in for an interview? Whoa. This guy's been in construction for 20 years. He's got tons of experience. He was super nice. He's been with us 3 or 4 weeks now, and he fits perfectly. Staff is super glad he's on board. But when he came in for the interview, he was like, I've spent my whole career getting berated, yelled at, cussed at, underpaid, overworked. He's got a daughter. He was like, I just want to take my daughter to school in the morning and be able to get her by 5:30 for daycare. And like, there's not a job on the planet that's even been willing to talk to me about that. And I looked at him and said, if you're taking your kid to school and picking her up, I literally don't give a shit what time you come in and leave. I really don't. I don't care. I have 2 kids. I have why are my expectations of myself different than I think yours should be of yourself? Why? Why do you not get to be a dad? Because you work and I own it? Man, fuck that. I don't like that. I don't like it. And I think that men who prioritize their children over anything else are the kind of men I want working for me. That's the kind of man I want to work with. That's the other thing I say in the Monday morning meeting on the back of the core value email. It literally says, these core values are a representation of me as the owner, and these core values make you a winner, and I refuse to hang out with fucking losers. And if you work at this company, you have to be a winner because you're automatically in my circle, and I control who's in my circle. And they're like, love it. They love it. Everybody loves being a winner. So, but that attracted him to us. It's the same thing with the subcontractors. Now subs are, most subcontractors start because we pay more. Just being honest. Most subs are like, oh, your pay scale is better than everybody else. I'm in. But they stick around because we're awesome. Because my project managers are communicative. They're up front. They show up on time. They don't ignore phone calls until 10 o'clock in the morning and then roll into unlocked doors. You need a door unlocked at 6? We'll unlock the door at 6. Like, do you see what I'm saying? The subs feel it too. Right. But their onboarding's a little different. You usually convince them to come on by being like, I'll pay you $2 more a square foot. And they're like, done.
Yeah.
But we go over,
right?
We go over core values with that. Like, we're very clear. We had a sub who we let go of, honestly, recently, who wouldn't communicate properly. And core value number 1 is communicate proactively. And one of my designers sat down with him and was like, look, man, we need you to crush it, but right now you're rushing it without the community. And I was like, mine. That was like the most incredible little quip. That was like awesome. Not planned at all. It was incredible, but it was true. And we let him go, though his quality of work was fine. He was your average everyday subcontractor. Didn't fit our core values. We ditched him and hired 3 more. That's how clear cut this is for us. I don't care your quality of work. Well, I
Yeah,
do, but you know,
if you tolerate that, then other people see that, other subs see that, other team members see that, and they're like, well, Sam is just, letting that guy have a fly or letting him have a pass on that. Like, all right, core values aren't that important anyway, right? So
yeah,
you've got
well,
to hold that standard.
yeah, and also remember, like, your project manager is running a project with the subcontractor. Your project manager makes probably a salary plus a bonus on job completion. Subcontractor's making a ton of money on these big projects. So your project manager, who you are requiring to live by a set of standards, is making X, and watching the sub, who isn't required to live by anything, making double, triple. What kind of standard are you setting? And I tell my guys all the time, we pay these people good money, they will live by these core values or they will go. And like, the project managers respect that. The helpers everybody respects that. It's not like a competition of pay for anybody, but they like knowing that that's the judge and jury right there.
That is awesome. That's cool. Yeah, so many times, like, we've all been part of organizations where, there's this like infighting, and there's this like jealousy, and like people talking behind people's backs, and that just is like a cancer that ultimately just like holds a company back. And like, you can't have that. You got to cut that out as soon as you get it, or even better, not have that in the first place by having these core values to kind of guide everyone that everyone can live by.
Yeah, and I've been there too. So like, this hasn't been a 6-year progression of perfection and core values and discipline and beauty and wonder and ultra year-over-year growth. I mean, we've hit walls with infighting and toxicity. I do this because I learned the hard way what happens when you don't. And look, man, I mean, we grew at times of toxicity and cancer, but I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get guys to show up on time. I couldn't get jobs done I wasn't fulfilling the expectations to the customer. I wasn't happy. I wasn't living in integrity with myself. I wasn't treating my wife properly because of it. I wasn't treating my kids properly because of this. It all comes back full circle. And you will grow a little slower doing stuff like this, but consistency, discipline, and patience, man, you'll hit a stride where your business will start to grow without your permission if you do this properly, and you got to catch up to it.
Ooh, I like that. On that note, I listened to, I guess, your first podcast, maybe I think it was your second one, and you brought up this book, and
that's a good one.
You know what? I'm not making this up. Like, I saw it coming. You're talking about it. You're in. Because you're talking about, you mentioned the word technician a couple times, and like, most business owners are actually technicians in their business.
Yep.
And this is the first business book I ever read. I mean, probably like I don't know when it came out, but probably like 2005, 6, something like that. It came out in 95. I probably read it in like 2005. And it's awesome. And so I saw that coming, and then you said it, and I think it was when you were in Hawaii with your wife's company's trip and whatnot. Yeah. And I was like, that makes so much sense. So you read the book. If you guys out there watching this, listening to this, have not read the E-Myth Revisited, amazing book, very simple, but like once you read it, you can't unsee it. Like, right, you see how that technician business owner relationship works, and it's so powerful. So how is that? What do you do in your business now? Can you kind of, what is it you'd say you do on a daily basis? If I were the Bobs, kind of ask consulting about your business, like, what does that look like?
It's really funny you asked that. I've been for years, I've been like oddly uncomfortable with the fact that I've sort of successfully stepped into like a CEO style role. And I don't know why. I was a technician, right? So I still have a low level like trade pride. Like, if I'm not screwing boxes to walls, sometimes I still feel a little guilty, or I want to be out there. What I do now, I do high level relationship building locally. I do high level networking personally. I have a VP of sales. I have a lead designer. I have project managers in charge of their departments. I strategize. I plan. I lead humans. I implement core values. I hire, fire. And every time we sell a job, I send a welcome video to the customer through Loom, thanking them for trusting our team, letting them know what the standard of expectation is by me personally, and telling them that the video is coming from my personal email. And if we fall short on any of our standards, I want to hear about it right away. So every customer gets a video. But what I do is I do fine-tune process and procedure, man. I strategize, I plan, I build departments now. That's pretty much my full-time job. Now there's still a lot of fire putting out, and hey, Sam, and we're growing. So every time we solve one problem, we create 3 more, and at least one of those 3 requires my attention and some help with the guys to fix it, solve it. But I'm building departments right now. I hired a sales VP and marketing VP, and we're building that department. I'm building the ops side. We just built a showroom warehouse. So like I'm kind of living 3 years out for the first time in a long time, and it's proving to work.
Yeah, that's cool. I think a lot of people, watching, listening, are like, they want to be in that position where you're kind of like, working on the business, not in the business, as Gerber would say, author of the E-Myth. How have you figured that out? I mean, I say that not because you're not, obviously you're a very smart business owner and person, but like most people have not figured it out. I'm still working on figuring that out, honestly. So
sure.
Like, where do you get that structure, accountability, coaching? Like, how do you figure out those pieces?
So I did it for a long time without any coaching. Well, a couple of things. One, you better learn to be accountable to yourself and fast. You are and have been your own boss for a long time. You just haven't accepted it. We have a bad habit of using the customers as our quote-unquote bosses and the job start dates as our scheduling, and we just change one job to another, and we just make more money doing it. What I did, it was painful, and it was scary. It was the best thing I ever did for myself and for my business, but it was hard and it was painful. I lost employees who believed that I needed to be on site more than I needed to grow as a business owner. I lost a best friend in that process who was supposed to be a business partner in the beginning, who could not handle the fact that I was not installing full-time anymore. And I don't regret a second of it, but I think the preparation for the transition can go a lot smoother than mine did. I know other people, Mike Claudio, for instance, who's stepping up in a CEO, and he's, that's Mr. Discipliner. He prepped and planned it very well, much better than I did. But I started to educate myself on entrepreneurship, business ownership. I hired coaches. I did at the couple of years into that process. I hit a wall. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how else to grow. I didn't know how else to build my schedule. I had grown to a ceiling that had capped my business's potential. Now, it capped my business's growth. My business was stuck underneath me. My team, what really got me was I felt like I didn't know how else to grow. And because of that, all of my staff, everyone that I led was now capped. They were either going to leave and find someone who had more than I did so they could continue growing, or I was going to continue keeping them down and capped. And it became overwhelmingly unacceptable to me. And I joined a group called Apex. I joined Arete. I filtered through masterminds until I found the ones that were what I needed, and Apex was what I needed, and I joined the executive level there, and I got a coach. And through joining execs, I met Mike Claudio, and I ended up joining the champion circle, and I got another coach. So I have 2 coaches. We work primarily, honestly, on mindset mastery, time organization. It's very little business tactic and more how I need to think, behave, and feel to be the best version of myself, because the best version of me can grow a pretty incredible business. The best version of Joseph can grow an outrageous business. The best version of whoever's listening can grow an outrageous, incredible organization. But we have to start getting to best version. We have to start working.
We've got to get out of our own way. It's so like that's the biggest thing, right? And it's about becoming the person that we need to become in order to achieve whatever it is that we need to achieve. And that such good self-awareness there, Sam. Like, you realize you're at this ceiling, and not only is it Sam at this ceiling, but you like got all these people on your team, and you're like, I'm capping their futures and their growth because I don't know what I need to do to get to that next level. And we see that so often in the contracting industry specifically, because you have owners who are they have this like revolving door of team members, sales reps, whatever it is. And like, I can't keep good people, but it's like those people that left you, they have a vision that's way bigger than what you have, and their vision does not fit inside the vision that you have for your company, and they see that, right? People aren't dumb. They're going to leave because they don't see that potential inside your company. So that level of self-awareness is like that's awesome.
Yeah, no, you're right. People aren't dumb, and I don't know who said it. This is not my quote. This is not me, but I heard my dream has to be big enough for everybody with me, all of their dreams. My dream has to be big enough to fit your dreams. And man, that just hits me like a ton of bricks, because that really was the push motive for me. And it's not just my employees, man. It's my family. It's my children. It's my wife. It's my church. It's my friend. Wherever we're leading, if we're not growing, we're capped at what we have to offer. And I just refuse to stay capped. I want to offer more. I told you from my whole life, I've always wanted to share, give, be, I just, I needed to get more to give.
Yeah. Had that impact. Yeah. We went through it recently, beginning of this year. I mean, I do it every year. Just kind of, sitting down one-on-one with team members and being like, what do you want? As far as not necessarily in this job role or in this team, in this company, but like, what do you want for your life? And I have to work on my leadership and with intention so that I can provide that, I can be a vehicle for them to get what they want, to have the impact that they want to have. So that's forced me to grow my leadership, to focus on that intentionally. And it's like, when it's not just about you, when you get out of that scarcity mindset of like, hey, I just got to pay the bills, or I got to make, $300,000 a year, whatever that is for you. When it's like not about you and it's about other people, like that's when things become real. That's when I find myself, if people out there, like if you have problems holding yourself accountable, incorporate other people, because if you're a good person, you're going to care about those people, especially if it's one of your core values, then you are going to find yourself like being able to focus more, being able to allow yourself to get distracted less, because you're like, it's not just about me. I'm screwing around for an hour on Facebook or whatever. Like that impacts my team. And they're not going to be able to have to build their futures if I'm screwing around, not focused on developing leaders.
Yep.
So I become passionate about that. It's something I love to do. So I wanted to chime in and share that.
No, I love that. I'll tell you, every year of the business that I obsessed about money, I made less and had less. The business might have made more. We grew every year, but somehow there was less available. When I devoted all of my attention to human beings and develop, I haven't sold a job. I haven't, I don't know how long. Leadership changed everything. Developing people into the men and women that they want to be through your guidance will grow your business 10 times faster and 10 times better than you trying to do everything and have everybody do it your way and blah, 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 blah. I stopped focusing on money. I had more. You said it, scarcity. My mentality became abundant. And what I realized was what I needed to do was grow leaders in my company in order to grow my company for real. And that's what happened.
Yeah. John Maxwell, everything rises and falls on leadership. It's so true. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Speaking of that, that's kind of a good transition into your podcast, which I definitely want to talk about for a few minutes. Never Stop Building. I think you got 6 episodes or something like that, at least that are public right now.
Yeah, 5 or 6 out. We've got yeah.
Can you talk about that? Tell us a little bit about the podcast. Because like I said, I listened to 2 episodes this morning on my run to kind of, prep for this. And I've subscribed. I will be listening to more. I'm not just saying that. Really good stuff. So
Thanks.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Sure. The title comes from a couple of years ago. Somebody asked me if I wrote a book, what would I call it? And I said I would call it Never Stop Building. It's just a personal belief of mine. It's one of my personal core values is we're never done. The podcast has been a dream of mine for years. I was afraid to do it. I was afraid to, I hired a professional out of Apex, a coach, so to say. He helped me set it up, and I'm super passionate about it. Never Stop Building. The intention is to help. It's not supposed to be just for entrepreneurs and business owners. It's really, I want people of all career paths, levels to understand that they can build their lives just like the most successful people that they see and look up to. And so it's going to be a combination of interviews. We got a lot of interviews over the next couple of weeks, and then it's going to be a whole bunch of me ranting just like you gave me the opportunity to do today. But I wanted to get some interviews in there and kind of introduce some people that have helped me and I've connected with. But yeah, it's kind of a passion project of mine. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Yeah. And for anyone out there, listen to the first couple episodes. The first one is kind of an intro, 10 minutes. The second one's short as well. So like devote a half an hour listening to it and you'll see that, or you'll hear rather, that it is not just business. It's like being second episode is like the CEO of your life, right? It's like, how can I take ownership over all these aspects of my life, whether I realize that I have ownership or not? Like that's something that has transformed my life. And one of my core values is taking extreme ownership. So yeah, man, good luck with it. I'll be cheering you on. I'll be sharing it out. And I just want to draw attention to that because it's really good. So
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, sure. You got time for a few quick, fun questions here at the end, a little lightning round?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we brought up a couple books so far on this episode. What is the current book that you're reading?
I'm reading a book called Range. It's extraordinarily boring. But I try to finish them when I start them. I might put this one down. Look, it's a great book. What it is basically, it's called Range. It's a discussion about whether hyper-specialization is better or worse than generalized education.
Okay.
It talks a lot about athletes, but it talks a lot about just how we learn. So it's really cool. I'm just not sure that this particular season I'm prepped to go that far into the brain. So.
I hear you. I'm a guy who I'll read 50, 100 pages of a book, and if it's not what I need at that moment or want at that moment, if it doesn't excite me when I wake up in the morning to pick it up, like I ditch it. I'm done. Because I read this. I assume you've heard of Tim Ferriss.
Oh yeah.
So Tim wrote this blog post probably like 10 years ago, and he broke it down. He's like, if you're 35 years old and you read, 20 books a year for the rest of your life, you live till you're 85, that's only like X amount of books, right? So like you don't have time to waste on finishing a book just because you started it. And that stuck with me like ever since I read that blog post of his. And so now, yeah, like I'll, you buy a book. I mean, the money, it's not important. It's more about the time investment. Yep. Even if I've invested a few hours into a book, I'm like, you know what? This is just not serving me right now. Life is short. Let me pick something else up. So
I'm right there with you. 50 pages. If I start reading and I get anxiety because I want to be done, I put the book away. So
exactly. Yeah. I'm a big fan. I'm really aware about energy. It's like, is this giving me energy or is this taking energy? And if it's not giving me energy, then it's out. So, and that goes for more than just books too. How about a non-business goal you're working toward this year?
Non-business goal I am working towards this year. I changed up my whole fitness routine. I've been bodybuilding, cutting bulking for 3 or 4 years, and my joints hurt and I'm sore, or I was, and I hired a new coach, getting out of my comfort zone. I'm doing all athletic mobility, flexibility training, and I'm training like I'm in my 30s and not like I'm 17 anymore. So that's one of my goals for this year is to heal up, lean out, and kind of be the best version of myself physically. So
I hear that, brother. I hear that. I actually this morning just joined a yoga studio because I am sick of just having like these joint issues and sore muscles and whatnot. I'm like, I know I have to do it. So let me just, join and hold myself accountable to going.
I'm right there with you.
What's your morning routine, Sam?
I'm up between 4:10 and 4:20.
Nice.
Between 4:20, 5 o'clock, I go to the gym, and between 4:20 and 5, I have a smoothie with fruit, protein, oats, banana. I hit my knees and pray, full gratitude prayer, and then I read my Champions Legacy that we did in TCC. Hit the gym at 5, home, and then it's kids off to school, dogs outside. From about 4:20 to 9 a.m. is all me. I get about 5 hours in the morning for it's me, kids, dogs, relax, breakfast. It's a wonderful, and then I head to work.
Yep. I'm very similar. Yeah. You gotta win the morning, get that routine in. Otherwise a day it's just gonna be chaos. So
totally
big fan
agree.
of that. Next travel destination. I saw you and your wife just get back from Niagara Falls. Look cool, look cold, look wet. But what's your next travel destination?
It was cool, cold, and wet. Yes, you nailed it. Nailed it, quite literally.
Niagara Falls in February and March. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Good for you,
next travel destination. The next three, it's Dallas, Washington D.C., back to Dallas. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's Dallas, Fort Lauderdale, Washington D.C., back to Dallas.
All right.
Yeah,
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I'll see you in Fort Lauderdale and maybe one of the Dallas as well. Sounds good, brother. We've got a lot going on here. We've covered a lot. Where's the best place for people to find you? I know I mentioned the podcast a couple times. You have any other personal website or anything like that, or Instagram or something like that?
The podcast is just neverstopbuildingpodcast.com. Instagram's at Sam Kaufman Official. Facebook is at Sam Kaufman Official. And that's it. If you want to see any of the construction work, that's at On the Level Co. We have a huge portfolio online. If you're, this is a construction podcast, so if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out. We got a lot of cool content up there.
Yeah, and if you're in the Charleston area and you're looking for an awesome career with an amazing leader and core values, then definitely reach out. So,
thanks.
Might as well plug that while we're at it, right?
Sure.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for sharing. Looking forward to pumping this one out, getting this out there to the world, to the industry, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Joseph.